Hi, this is Dawn. Welcome to Transaction Review and Calculator Practice. Here we are already at June. I can't believe it. It's really something. Eno, welcome. Ken, welcome. There may be some other people joining us, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So thanks for being on time. And Eno, good to have you back. And Ken, you also. I will try to unmute just here for a second. Can you guys speak or looks like we have a little bit of
Yes.
Yeah,
feedback? Who? Oh, both of you.
yeah, yeah. This is Anno.
Hey,
Hi,
Anno,
Don.
how are you?
I'm
Remind
I'm
me,
good, thanks.
remind me where you're from again?
LA.
You're in LA. Okay.
Yes.
And yeah, I've been here my whole life and moving out of the area for the first time at the end of the month. So it's a pretty big change.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah. Yeah, my last speaking gigs here locally for a while are this month. But anyway,
Oh,
so you're
Where are you going to move to? Where are you going to move to, Don?
yeah, I'm gonna move to Tahoe area, actually the Nevada side, which happens to be Carson City, Nevada, is where we're gonna end up. So we're pretty excited. We're kind of ready for podunk, a little slower life, a little quieter.
Understand.
Cost of living's a lot cheaper. So anyway, but it's so stressful to move.
Oh,
Ken,
yeah.
where are you from?
I'm just north of Houston, about 38 miles in
Ah,
it's called the Woodlands area.
well, another thing that I like about Nevada is they're much more favorable to Second Amendment rights, like Texas is.
Right.
And so I don't know. I'm in a hunker down mode and just live smaller and simpler and cheaper and uh, and that kind of a thing. Ken, what do you got going on? What do you?
Well, I'm actually a finance broker. I do commercial loans,
Hmm.
and I'm narrowing Texas lingo my field down. I've actually kind of followed you on and off for a few years,
Hmm.
and but I've made a decision to get into the private money side and do some things both as as the lender and then also brokering a few deals with a group of people that I'm involved with, and I'm just kind of doing sort of like that. I want to get out of that rat chase of the big deals and just do some small residential and commercial deals. So that's why I'm looking at this a little more seriously
Well,
now.
fabulous. Well, I'm really honored that you're here with us on this little journey. And yeah, when I switched from needing the really big payouts to just consistent, more and more passive income and piece of the deal and not needing as much, it really worked out so much better. And then the bigger stuff does tend to come along anyway, too, but
Right.
I'm not scraping it
Yeah,
month to month.
chasing it is so difficult. You just need it needs to come to you. And my wife and I, she's going to retire, and we're not going to stop working. We're just, she's 34 years in education, so she's ready to back up. And we have a coach, and we're gonna explore the U.S. some and do some of these deals. So
Oh, wow.
that's what I'm
What a
thinking
what
about.
a fantastic point in your lives. That's really exciting.
Yes, we are. We've got two great kids that have their own families, and everything's going good.
Oh, wow. Well, wonderful to have you here and hopefully, if you guys and I'll try to unmute you. Ken, your line is really super clean, so I'll leave you unmuted. But please type the questions or comments, and then I'll open it up when I get through. And maybe to me, this is a fairly new thing that I've started doing. This leveraging a small amount of money for private loans, because I mainly do the seller finance space, where I come in as a consultant either for sellers or buyers who are not familiar, and usually they're professionals that they're associated with are not familiar with owner financing and they just want to be handheld through that one or two deals their whole life that they're going to do. And sometimes I get to buy the notes that are created out of those consulting arrangements. And then I also just buy other notes that come to me. People bring me notes. I have a one or two brokers that regularly bring me. One guy in particular, he probably brings me two couple deals a month, and we work real well together. That was a really great interview. If you missed it, the Travis video or webinar that I did, and I think that was last month or the month before, something like that. But
Yeah, I know that I missed it because I would remember that. But
yeah, because he's
mm,
just really it's the real in the trenches look at what it takes to really hustle it and make it, and at least the brokering the seller finance paper. So I would go back and look at that. He inspires me. He's taught me some things about how you organize your brain and your files. So it's interesting. You if you just pull the trigger and start, then you get going, and then actually you learn what you're doing as you're going. And people end up teaching you how to do things, but they don't know that they're doing it. All sorts of people teach me things on a variety of levels, and just
of
yeah.
course.
But anyway, so this is a relatively it's not a new idea that I came up with, but nothing. I don't have any original ideas. I may have my own original way of packaging them, maybe talking about them, but I'm kind of excited about this because, as usually, if I'm okay, I started to say I mainly do the owner finance paper, but sometimes I do some origination, some private loans, because it's so easy to do, and I can do it. I can do non-consumer loans with my license in California, and so I don't really make much of a spread generally, but I get the points. Usually 2.5, 3 points, something like that. And so it's a nice way for me to put chunks of money to work, and everybody's happy. But now I've started to not only get the points, but work it into more passive income by using this strategy that I first learned. I think I was listening to Bill Tan, who runs a large real estate investment club in San Diego, and you know how it is. Like, you've probably heard things a lot of times, and then finally you just really hear it, and you just have this little aha moment. And anyway,
Right.
so let me clear this. This is the HP 10B2 for those of you who don't know. Probably all of you do. And hey, Dimitri, welcome. I see that you joined us. Anyhow, so this lady, she runs a pet rescue, and these people are some of the most passionate people on the planet. They've got a lot of energy, they find a lot of meaning in their work, and they actually, through their nonprofits, they actually generate quite a bit of cash flow, for getting these dogs and taking them places. I don't exactly know how that works, but it's so fun to try to help someone put a deal together who is so passionate about what they're doing. It's just very life-giving to be around that kind of energy. And so a friend of hers, I helped back in February. She needed a second property, and she was having a hard time getting a private loan, but we were able to work together and structure a deal that made sense for everyone. And so she referred me to this gal who's trying to do a very similar thing. So it's this property, some acreage, and I don't know that there's kennels yet, but sales price is 300,000. If they don't, if this thing, excuse me, this doesn't close by next Friday, a week from tomorrow, they're going to lose their deposit because we already released their 3%, so $9,000, and they keep squirreling around. So finally they came to me, and we're going to put this together. This is how we did it. I said, you got to have at least 35% down payment. To me, on this type of a property, which is it's not a single family, it's a kind of a unique property. So actually, I would have preferred she's more at 40% down. But here's how I'm going to keep my investor safe. She can scrape up this between her charitable donors and herself. We'll have a first note written at 65 loan to value, so 195. So basically, I'm just going to, sorry if this is insulting your intelligence here, but just in case there's people that will watch and aren't familiar with how easy it is. So 65%, right, of 300,000, which is a very standard private loan sort of number. Some people will go a little more, some people less. So there's my maximum loan amount right there. And incidentally, when I'm buying a discounted note, I look at the same the same kind of guidelines. I don't call it loan to value because I'm not making a loan, but I call it investment and value because investment to value (ITV) because that for my investment, what's my exposure? So I'm usually at that 65% max there too. I like to be at 50. I like to be at 50% or less on anything I do, but it doesn't always work that way. But anyhow, so then this is going to be interest only with a balloon. So a lot of private money is expensive and short term. Whereas if you get owner finance, if she had got owner finance from this church that was selling this property out there with some acres, she could have got a lot better deal probably, right? But they want to be cashed out. So she's going to pay 9.5%, and that's actually pretty darn fair for a private rate.
Yes, it is.
But I like doing the deals that I feel good about, that I think are, and finding a way to make them safe enough to justify that. Because, if you get too greedy, then I don't want to send her into failure because then it doesn't perform for anyone. So it's like, how can I do deals that I really love and feel are safe and are very fair to everyone involved? We're going to do it for 3 years, but here's 9.5%. So there's the loan amount. So I just go 0.095. Remember from school, 2 decimal to the left. And then that's the total interest per year. And I go, oh, well, what's per month? What's the payment per month? And I divide by 12. And there's the monthly payment, 1543.75 right here. With a balloon, the whole amount due in at 3 years, hopefully. And their plan is to do principal reduction along the way, so they don't have a nasty balloon to deal with. And they think that they'll be able to pay it off pretty easy within the next year and a half with raising donations. And they've got some movie stars that back their work and all that. So hopefully that'll be an easy prospect for them. I don't know why they couldn't. If they have movie stars, they should have got the 300 cash. But anyway, so otherwise, here's how I could have put that in. I could have put in present value, which is loan amount there. I'll make that a negative number for future value, which is the balloon amount, right? So the 9.5 interest rate, we're going to do, it doesn't matter. The payment won't change, right, on an interest only, whichever. So 36 months, and then I solve for the payment. And that's another way to get the same stuff. But so here's the deal, though. I like keeping my investors safe because those of us who put deals together, um, it, our investors are our gold. It's you take care of your investor. You always make sure they're covered, and as to do everything that you can to make sure that they don't have hassles or losses and things like that. So I would like to, I don't want to go to her because it's a non-conforming type of property. There again, it's the special type of buyer. It's not like you could turn it around inside of 30 days and get your money back out, even with this kind of protective equity. So I'm saying I'm going to keep them at 60%. So basically 195, or I'm sorry, oops, 300. What's 60%, right? Times 0.60. In case that helps make sense. So I'm only going to ask 180 from my investor, but I want to do this deal, right? So, and I'm going to pay them. I told her I'm going to pay her 9.5. I ordinarily would ask 9 from my investors, and a lot of them are really happy with that because they know I take care of things, and I have additional collateral, and you'll see that on the next page. But anyway, I'm going to pay them just a 9.25 because of this type of property. I'm going to stretch way up a quarter point, right? I know it doesn't really sound great, but you know what? A lot of people these days, they're looking at their 1% or less returns, and they'd be really happy with 6, 7, or 8. I'm having more money, cheaper money all the time. That's just like, hey, just get me going somewhere. So 0.0925. So 9.25, right? That 2 decimal points equals, that's the interest for the year divided by 12. So I'm going to pay her 1387.50, and this is probably the 5th deal I've done with her in the last 2 years. So we work really well together. Okay, so she's going to need that much, and then a $180,000 balloon at the end of 3 years. So what I'm going to do is create the first note with my investor at 9.25, and then I'm going to wrap that note. I'm going to put in 15,000, take it subject to the 180. So basically, I'll write a 195 loan, wrapping this 180 so that to get the 195. And then see, I'm kind of in second position, but I wrapped this 180 instead of doing a second, which, can you guess why I wanted to do that?
Well, I was more intrigued with doing the second, but as far as why you wanted to do
Mm.
it that way, you'll have to tell me.
I guess if I did the second, then I'd have to charge a higher rate, right?
Exactly. I mean, I've got a lot of questions. You don't have any origination. You don't have any
Yes,
origination
not
fees. You don't
yet,
have
not
anything
yet.
on here. No points.
Okay, so
Okay. All right.
basically, so then here we have remember the, oh, I can bring it up here. The
Right.
1543 is the payment that I'm going to bring in from the borrower. And remember, I'm trying to make it work for the borrower and not bend them over too bad. Make it work for everybody, right? Then they get to buy their property and do their good work saving animals. And my investors get to keep their money working, and I get to keep eating. I like that. So, so between the difference what I take in, what I pay out, my spread is $156.25 each month. So what I'm doing here is I could have charged more on the second. Maybe that could have worked and not really strapped them financially month to month. But I did quote her like 9.5, and I didn't think I was going to do this until I thought, why am I not doing this? It's time to implement that strategy. So I didn't want to change what I had said because I like people to trust me and know that my word's my bond and that I do what I say when I say I'm going to do it. So maybe I could have thought of doing a second, but anyway, I make 9.5 on my 15,000. And then I make a quarter point spread. I'd like this to be 0.5 or even 1. So if I could have gotten someone at 9% or 8.5, I could have made a half to a 1 point spread on top of their money. So I'm not only making good money on my money, but I'm making a spread on their money, the arbitrage thing. So if you take 156.25, 56.25 times 12, right? 12 months. That gives me the 1875 a year, and then I divide by what do I have out there? 15,000. So then basically I'm making 13% on my money, which is okay. It's not like stellar, but it's okay. It's all
Yeah.
most people don't know how to take 15,000 and make 13% safely. But I did
Mhm.
charge 3 points, so 3% of the loan amount as an
Very good.
origination fee. So the 195 will go out, but 6,000 about this. I'm rounding to be simple. Is coming back to me in the form of points. So really, all I've got out there is 9,000, right? To make the 1875.
Hmm.
So if you go 1875 divided by 9,000, which is my true out of pocket, then that 9,000 is now making me
Yeah.
21%, which now that starts to make me even happier. I mean, the 20 and above really seems fun, especially when I feel really good about the deal on all levels. But I wanted more security because of that non-conforming property. So I said, "What else you got?" And he said, "All we have is our primary residence, and it's worth 450, and but we have a first and second to the tune of 290. So they've got about $150,000 of equity. That I know that could evaporate.
Yep.
But what else do they have? Lots of emotional equity. And so, what I've
Sure.
learned from listening to my non-performing minded people, especially like the Gordon Moss with his non-performing seconds, and the way they think has helped me to expand the way I underwrite a deal. So I like having additional security because even if their passion dries up or something really happens, they don't want to lose their home, right? They're going to do whatever they can to make sure that they get that loan paid off. So even though I don't want to have to, if the worst case happens, I have to take over a first and second, keep them current, pay taxes and insurance while I'm foreclosing on their house, and maybe by then there's not that much protective equity. But between this and the other one, so we've got for a $195,000 loan, we've got the 300 plus the 150. So I've got 450. So what is that? So that starts to be, assuming there's no big depreciation, which really could happen. But assuming things, so 450. Oh, and what was I doing? So really, I'm what am I? 195 divided by 450. Now my combined loan to value is more like 43%, and that's under that 50 that I think that's sweet spot. So, any questions, comments? I'm going to try to unmute everybody. And welcome, Howie. I see you joined. Ooh, whoa, whoa. Okay, sorry about that. Your lines may be a voiceover. I don't know what, but any comments, questions, thoughts? How you would have done it differently?
No, I'm curious where the 6,000 came from. You said 3 points. I mean
3
9,000. You did
points.
3 points or two
So
points.
195.
And where did that? Did they pay that
No,
in
it's
addition to the
yeah. So what's
105, or
going to
what did they
happen?
do?
They're going to have to come in with some closing costs. You're very true about that. So, because this,
Okay.
or yeah, because see, this is coming out of net proceeds, and plus I'm charging a $500 doc fee because it's kind of complex with the two different collateral. So basically, that's really
Yeah.
how much I'm going to make. That's
Hmm.
going to be sent back to me at closing. And then I keep making this much a month, 156.25. And if they make additional principal payments, I can
Yeah.
either get my money back and do something even better with it, or I can leave my money in and pay my investor down underneath, because I retain the servicing on deals where I'm kind of a principal in it, or for my investor clients, so they don't have to worry about servicing. So
I think it's a nice deal. It's not one that's going to you're gonna go crazy over, but on the other
yeah, I mean,
side of the deal,
like
it's solid.
think about other
So
numbers that would be super exciting. So and there's another deal I'm doing where she needs to borrow 100,000, and I'm wondering how I'll put that. So now I'm gonna take. Uh, let's see. I'm sorry. I don't know who's got noise in the back. So instead of borrowing a this thing, usually I don't like to put that much of my own money. I like more leverage, but in this case, the security to my investor, I still want to do the deal, but I want to shop this to my investor and say, for the 9.5%, look, you're only at 60% on this property, plus we've got the 150 additional collateral on the other one. I want them to feel really good about the deal. So I just like shopping it at 60% instead of 65 because of the nature of the primary collateral. And because I think we're in a bubble, I really don't know how some of these prices can be maintained. So I don't know. I like to be conservative, and maybe this isn't as conservative as some people, but more than some. But anyway, so what if I take 99,000, and this other one is super safe. It's a 25% loan to value. It's a basically this duplex is worth probably 400, 450, and she only needs 100. So what if I come in and I have someone who's happy, and probably I could have got someone at 8%. Let's pretend I did. That's going to be funner numbers. So let's pretend I shopped this at 8%. I know I could have sold that. It's just I promised it to the other gal. But this one's only 24 months. For some reason, she didn't ask for more, so I didn't give her more. Recall, private, turn it negative. So that's the balloon. Okay, so how much per month? 660 per month that my investor needs. I hope I don't forget these numbers. I probably will. That's just kind of like me. Okay, so but then I'm going to put in $1,000 of my own and wrap it, right? Wrap the 99 so that I'm wrapping it for $1,000 of my money putting in 100,000, and I'm charging her 9.5 too. I might have charged her less, like a quarter less. I can't remember, but and so what's the payment she's gonna owe me? Okay, 971. And then, so that's what I'm bringing in minus the 660 I think I owe to the other person. So now I'm keeping 131.67 a month, right, for the next 2 years. So that times 12 equals I'm making 1580 a month on $1,000. I mean a year, divided by what I have in it, which is $1,000, equals, wow, that's 158%. Now that's a little more exciting, hey Ken?
Yeah, that's a lot
Yep.
more
Yeah.
exciting.
So that's not even counting the
Did you
fact
charge
that
her any
she's going to pay me three
origination
thousand
points?
dollars back. So really, it's a infinity return because I got all my
There
money
you go.
back. And you know that what did I say the monthly? What is that? 100. So that's 100. Yeah. I can't even
791,
remember these numbers.
791,
It's so silly. Yeah, okay.
and
So
130
130
something
bucks a
was your
month
part.
practically. So that's better than a $20 servicing fee, isn't it? If I put, instead of saying, "Hey, I'll serve this note
Yes.
for 20 bucks or even 40," but if I'll put in a 1,000 and wrap it, and that
Do it the way
arbitrage,
you're
that
doing it. Yeah.
difference, of using on top of other people's money is a whole lot more exciting. Why would I do? How much could I
Hmm.
make on $1,000 second, even if I charged 25%? It's not even going to be, and plus they won't like it, right? They'll go, what the heck? But see, this is a way to go, wow, look at
Right.
how I could make 158% return on $1,000. See, now that starts to be, well, and plus, like I said, I got paid to do it, so it's even infinity return. There's no calculation for that.
You're servicing, yeah, you're servicing the loan. I have a question, and it may be a little bit dumb, and I should know the answer, but I'm a little confused on the
Mm-hmm.
wrap. I'm so used to doing seconds and talking about seconds and thirds and all that kind of thing. But when you talk about a wrap, like you say, I'm
Uh-huh.
wrapping the note with my thousand
Well,
dollar
so
investment. I'm
so
wrapping
yeah,
it.
so then I make
Exactly
the
how is that
note to my
handled
investor
on the
at
paperwork?
whatever it is, right? So there's that note, and then I make an AITD, another note, and an all-inclusive deed of trust that wraps the first one, and it mentions this is a like on that deal, this is $195,000 note, subject to that wraps and includes, and it references the first one, a note for $180,000 to such and such. And my escrow people in title know how to do that. I don't, sometimes they don't know what this is, and that's kind of a distressing situation. But yeah, you do. You really do.
That's yeah. You got to find the right yeah. But once you do, so you just have the verbiage on the deed on the deed of trust is just
Right,
going to
right.
say,
So I mean,
it's
it's
subject
the
to both
same
those
diff, the
notes
same
and
money
all
in
that type of
escrow and out of escrow. Just maybe a couple more fees for more recording
yeah,
fees and things like that. But it's
yeah,
just a
yeah.
great, just a different way. You don't have to do it this way, but it's a way to think. Yeah.
And see, that's something I've learned tonight. I've not, yeah, I have not heard of that. Not that I know everything by any stretch, but I have not. It's always been more of a second and that type of thing, or even a third in some situations, or just substituting other collateral. But I've not thought of it as wrapping that note with some money
Yeah,
that you're going
because
to
see,
put
I
in the
just get
deal and then
super
getting paid on
passionate
the
about
spread and all that
little
type of thing.
extra bits of passive income. Like just a teeny tweak is going to give me an extra, whatever, $100 a month or $200 a month between these two deals together that are closing next week. What am I talking? An extra, maybe it's close to 250, 300 extra passive just switching. And plus, I still got the commission that's going into my I need to pay rent and eat account, So, or I could leave it and just keep throwing it out there and recycling the. If I don't need to pull it out of my investment account, then I just keep recycling it because you can see how you can take little bits of your own money and really amp it up, make it on on Red Bull. Get Red Bull. Yeah. So private money on steroids. So anyway, um, well, thanks, Ken,
Exactly.
and everybody for hanging in here. It was great. I'm glad you joined me. This, like I said, I'm going to be moving, but I don't think it'll interrupt any of my activities. My next virtual coffee will be in from Carson City, Nevada, so that will be interesting. Um, but anyhow, I appreciate you guys. Stay in touch, and you guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much.
You too, Don. Thank you very much.